Hi, welcome to Morocco Special. So this is a complete guide to visiting Morocco, right from buying your ferry ticket, what you need for your van before you go, what to expect when you get over there, money.
What food to take, what food you can and can't get out there, other local customs, things to be mindful of, how it is it safe, travelling as a woman on your own as well as in a couple, the good bits, our favourite bits.
And a few of our favourite places along the way too. So before you travel over to Morocco, a few things to consider. You want to probably get your van insured. There's a couple of ways of doing that. You can either get it insured from your current provider, in which case you're asking for a green card. There's sometimes an additional payment to make there. Or you can get third-party insurance from the port when you arrive in Morocco. The other thing you'll need is your tickets. So we went to Carlos in, where's that?
Los Barrios.
Los Barrios, just outside Algeciras port itself. And you can more or less do that the day before you travel.
Day of even.
Day off. And you're probably going to get a flexible ticket there, so you can return. It will have a date when you're meant to return on it, but it's a flexible ticket, so you can just ignore that date and turn up at the port on your return journey.
And on your departure.
And on your departure.
Turn up and wait. The times given for the ferry tickets are irrelevant, really. Just turn up at the port when you're ready and wait to go on the next boat because it'll leave when it leaves.
Yeah. And while you're at Carlos's, you can also get your money exchanged, so you've at least got some dirhams for when you arrive over there. So Carlos does keeps a few dirhams in stock. Bit of continuity error here, but something which we forgot to say was also that in Morocco, it's a cash only system, so there's no credit cards. The only place you can use credit cards is probably at Marjane, Carrefour and garages, and some of the more touristy places. Some hotels will probably obviously take them as well, but yeah, everywhere is a cash only, so you need to factor that in to go to. We found the post office was the best place to withdraw money. You got a good rate, exchange rate, and no fees on the bank card. The other thing is, while you're at Carlos's, you can leave your drone there should you have a video drone. It's a very strict rule in Morocco, but you can't take drones into the country.
You can also get a SIM card from Carlos if you want just a short top up before you get a proper SIM when you get there. It is worth doing because if nothing else, it gives you mapping to drive to the first town where you can then get a SIM contract or something. So when you arrive at the port, customs are long and convoluted. You get your van x-rayed, all sorts of stuff. You've just got to follow along with it. Once you've got through all of that, there are a bunch of kiosks where you get your third-party insurance, you can change money, you can buy a SIM card of varying and dubious quality and reliability. And if you arrive in the dark, I would say sleep there. We sleep there before we travel on the way home, and it's quite normal to do that. I wouldn't drive on the roads in Morocco in the dark, but that's another subject.
Yeah, certainly not on your first trip over. It's quite a learning experience. When you arrive at the port, one of the options you can buy SIM cards at the port. These tend to be top-up ones as you go, or you can go to an Inwi shop in a town and get a contract.
Or Morocco
Telecom, which is we did Inwi. We got a 3 months unlimited or a month unlimited, which we topped up each month. But I also had a second one because I've got a router in my van, but I had a second one for the phone, and I went for Maroc, which was just a scratch card, so you put in your numbers there and topped it up that way.
We paid about 250 dirhams, which is about 25 euros, and that gives us 100 gig, effectively unlimited. And you have to go to the office every month. It's a little bit of a hassle. There is an app you can use. I think you pay a bit more, but if you just put it in your calendar or something on which dates you need to go, you can do it like a week beforehand or something. Finding a UK insurance company that will cover you in Morocco is really hard. LV will cover existing customers, so Mick's lucky to get that. I found Just Campers, which is actually part of Adrian Flux, and they covered me for 365 days abroad, including the green card countries. But it was expensive, but I'm happy that I got it because I'm properly insured. The most common question we get asked is Morocco safe? And we would both say yes.
Yeah, it's definitely safe. I think part of the reason why there's so many questions about it is the infrastructure. So there's a lot of roadblocks by the police, and that's mostly to check vehicle documents. As a tourist, you probably won't get stopped unless you've been speeding or potentially speeding. So, yeah, we found that out. Sarah's got 2 tickets and I've got 1. So yeah, so they are quite keen on speeding, and they will stop you and fine you for that. But going back to the safety, yeah, it's a cultural difference. There's, they don't mind the locals don't mind hanging around your van. They will come and knock on your van, they'll ask for things. And you get to campsites and sometimes it'll have glass-topped walls, barbed wire around it. And so it does feel like it's not safe, but I haven't seen any evidence. There's no glass on the side of the road where windows have been put through or anything like that. And I've not heard of anybody being robbed.
As a woman, I've travelled on my own. I did 3 months last winter on my own, and it was absolutely fine. This year, travelling together, it's been different. They don't talk to me as much. They'll talk to the man rather than the woman, which is fine. I'll let him sort out all the hassle. I never felt uncomfortable. I've got one friend who's a young girl, I'm the wrong side of 50. She was 30-something, and she had some teenage lad trying it on. But quite frankly, you'd get that in Bradford or Portsmouth or anywhere. So, no, I would absolutely say, in my experience, Morocco is safe. You've got to respect their culture. We always covered up. We chose to not do things if we were out for a bike ride. We chose to not go to a market because we weren't dressed appropriately. I think if you're dressed inappropriately, you're kind of asking for a bit more trouble, maybe. But generally, yeah, it's safe.
Yeah, I'd agree. I think, the other thing is children. Obviously, we haven't got children with us, but I did see and witnessed it where a young couple had a young child, blonde-haired, and the Moroccans, it's just their custom. They will go over and try and kiss and stroke the child.
They're fascinated. They like the blonde hair. It's something different. They're looking at us as much as we're looking at them a lot of the time.
At roads, yeah. So there's toll roads, and when we first got out of the port and started heading down the toll road, got to the first toll booth, which is slightly right. So we got to the toll booth, and it was where they issued the tickets, not where you paid, but there was 2 young kids there covering up the ticket machine and asking for €5 to pay for the toll. Yeah, it's a scam. I saw it, and they didn't get any money out of it.
Yeah, it was pretty obvious, just kids mucking around. The tolls are cash.
Tolls are cash, and they're not cheap. They're not. I think they were quite expensive.
For Moroccan expensive. I wouldn't say they were expensive, but they're a lot cheaper than going around Birmingham.
Well, there's not many toll roads, to be fair. I think if you go down that Atlantic side for the start, that's where your toll roads are.
And it's worth it for that bit, to start your journey, to start your trip into Morocco, it's worth it.
And it's easy driving on those toll roads as well.
They're like UK motorways, except that there's goats and donkeys grazing along the side, people walking along them, crossing over, stray dogs.
Yeah, and I think you've just got to be wary as well. You will see lorries which are very overloaded, and they've got a bit of a lean to them, and you see vans with camels in the back of them, and so it's fascinating. It's a real eye-opener, but the roads in general are really safe. I didn't mind driving through the sister towns. Always felt easy.
The roads are really quiet. There's a lot less traffic generally. Usually they're pretty good condition. If they're not, yeah, there's a few potholes. I mean, they're no worse than roads in Lancashire or other parts of the UK.
I think we'll put a caveat on that. We did go on a P road, which is a provincial road, and it been washed away in the rains, and it was proper epic drive. In fact, we've got a video on it. And yeah, is it 107?
The 107. Yeah, we remember that.
Yeah, also on some of the roads, they just put rocks at the side of the road, and if you see the rocks there, don't go near them. It usually means that the road's crumbled at the side. So it's a bit like putting a warning triangle at the side of the road.
It's the equivalent of traffic cones, isn't it? The orange bollards. Yeah.
So it's just a pile of rocks. Sometimes it's got a plastic bag tied to it if it's one which people travel down at night. Do you need specialist tyres? You know, you see a lot of these with the all-terrain tyres and things like that. You probably don't. You're okay with normal road tyres for the majority of your travelling.
Unless you've got a 4x4 and you want to go off-roading.
Yeah, or you're going through the deserts or whatever. But I mean, we did some adventurous stuff, just in normal road tyres, and they're absolutely fine.
Just got to take it easy.
Yeah.
My tyres did 2 trips to Morocco. They were begging to be replaced when we got back, but they're fine.
And you do see Renault 4s, which are 30, 40-year-olds, and with these wrecked out tyres, and they're travelling down the same road, so it isn't too bad.
Yeah, I had one mechanic look when we got to Tafraoute. They changed my brakes and they looked at my tyres, and I knew that they were getting a bit thin. And he offered to cut new tread into my tyres. I was like, thanks, mate, but I haven't got enough rubber on them anyway. Cutting some of it off. So, yeah, they're fairly. You can get tyres out there if you get stuck. I was offered Turkish imports, but tyres are expensive in Morocco because of the import tax. So I waited till Spain, and I've got nice new tyres now.
I've indeed shiny ones. While we're on that, mechanics in Morocco.
They're brilliant. They'll fix anything.
So they are, intuitive. Not intuitive. What's the word anyway? They'll try and fix anything with a bit of weld. So they will fix it. Now we have heard some horror stories of people having suspension lifted and things like that, and it collapsing a couple of hundred miles up the road. So I think you've got to be pretty careful, but if it's general mechanics, then fine. A lot of people go over with the older vans and get resprays done and things like that. It isn't going to be oven baked paint, so it is going to be a bit orange peel, so it will.
It's not that bad. Yeah, a lot of people do get work done, and it's okay. If you've got an old van, you're not looking for protection anyway.
They do fill it, and they do put primer on it, and then they spray over. But it depends how good a job you want. But it is cheap, super cheap in comparison to the UK. You arrive in Morocco. I think we both agree that the easy route to start is to go down the Atlantic coast road and go around that way. You're seeing resorts which are used to tourists, and which is a positive and a negative. You do get hounded quite a lot.
It's easier. I started last year on my own going down inland, and that was definitely a mistake for me on my own. Other people might be fine with it. I then went back onto the coast, and it was just like, so much easier. We used Park for Night, and we found the toll road going down the coast. It just made a really easy introduction as we got used to the ways of the country.
I think, with the exception of going along the coast down the Atlantic way, the other good town to start would be Medique. I would think that's probably the cleanest Moroccan town we came to. The beach was clean. There's a nice park up right on the front there as well, which is Guardian parking. So that's another easy town, and that's on the Mediterranean rather than on the Atlantic. That's
right near to Tetuan, so you can go into town and get your SIM cards and your money changed and stuff if you want to start that way. Yeah, there's generally, when you're starting, we'd say go down the coast. We preferred south of Agadir. It was less touristy, it was more, I don't know, it was just
the beaches are a bit cleaner.
The beaches are a bit cleaner.
You didn't get as hassled as much from kids, which I would say kids hounding was the worst experience. They're asking for sweets constantly. Sweets, Durhams. So we were told that take pens, and the kids are grateful for having the pens. Now they're after sweets and they're after
The
Durham.
kids, aren't they?
Yeah.
But
and-
if that's the worst thing, it's not that bad, really. Is
No, I
it?
mean
It
the
does wear a bit.
only bad experience we had was when I was riding through the market and some kids were trying to pinch some tools out of the back of my saddlebag.
Yeah. And
yeah.
they had a little pop gun and they were
Oh yeah, and
firing
flicking-
little pellets
flicking
at our
my-
backside. But
yeah.
we were wearing lycra shorts. We didn't go into a suit wearing lycra shorts
Well,
again.
that was just kids. So it
No,
didn't
it was just
matter. The only
kids, yeah.
only people which thought twice were the kids. Campsites. Campsites are cheap and cheerful.
We never use campsites in Spain or anywhere else in Europe so far. We're just quite happy just parking up in Morocco. So we use campsites about 70% of the time. They're cheap, they're a bit rough and ready, but they're easy, and you know it's a bit of a break from the hustle and bustle, and they've generally got the services you want as well.
You're looking usually between £5 and £7
Yeah.
average for a campsite. For that, you get water, you get showers, toilets, and disposal facilities as well.
Yeah, you might pay another £1 or so for electric if you want hookup.
You-
You might get a washing machine there. The showers are mixed quality, shall we say. Some of them are pretty scruffy and a bit rough, and I've had a few cold showers. I've had a few where washing my hair's been a drag because it's just not the water pressure, but they usually make pretty good.
Campsites, electric. We didn't really use electric. In fact, we didn't use it at all. We've got enough solar power to keep us going. There were vans there where they need to plug in, and the electric supply is terrible. It's not consistent.
Flexible, isn't it?
So a lot of people then were going out and buying electric regulators. So it's like a box, if you like, a power supply. You plug that in, and it makes sure that you get a consistent flow of electric. And they were, I think, for a more expensive one, it was about €150, which we were buying from electrical shops. But they seem to be working well, and some campsites do provide those as well. Gas. So gas is exceptionally cheap out there. So you can buy a gas bottle, which is about, I can't remember, 120. I think it was 120 dirhams.
It's 12 litres.
Yeah,
12 kilos.
a 12 kilo gas bottle, 120 dirhams. So I don't know, a tenner, just over a tenner. And gas refills are about £3 for 12 kilo refill. So you just take
like
your
a bottle
bottle
swap?
back. You take your bottle back and swap it over. With my van setup, I had to change the pigtail on it, so that would fit the Moroccan gas because they're a different thread on them. But
We
I
were
picked
able
that
to
up.
buy
Yeah.
that up from, is it Bricomart, a Moroccan hardware shop in Kenitra. Took a little bit of fussing. Take PTFE tape.
The Hammer Media, we got that from.
Oh, okay.
But always be careful. I mean, it's gas. And
The
Yeah.
first bottle leaked a bit.
the first one, you couldn't actually undo the valve on the top, and it was a safety issue. Yeah, it really was. So be careful. If in doubt, just take it back. So shopping. We're vegetarian, so we didn't have to buy meat. I was told that meat is quite expensive or on par with Europe. Vegetables, exceptionally cheap. And how do you buy them?
They have the fantastic system, all these little tiny shops that, you could always park your van inside, they're so small, and they'll have boxes of different vegetables, and they give you a bowl, like a plastic washing up bowl, and you just put in everything that you want in the bowl, and then they weigh it all together. So your potatoes are the same price as your avocados, the same price as your bananas and your peas and everything else. And we never bought more than 2 or 3 days worth of vegetables at a time. They don't keep desperately long. There's not a huge variety, but we didn't starve. We did just fine.
Yeah, and I'd say probably for, I don't know, a good day supply, be £2,
Yeah.
2 or 3 quid.
Yeah.
So it is very cheap.
Yeah.
And it's reasonable quality. It's not exceptional, it's
Yeah,
reasonable.
it's
Oranges
reasonable.
are good quality.
Oranges are
are
lovely, yeah. There's also supermarkets, so you can get Carrefour and Marjane, which are French supermarkets, so you can get a lot of imported stuff there. Not everything you want, but it's a bit of home cooking, home comfort, and they are in some of the bigger cities. You've got to look for them, and there are more sort of Moroccan supermarkets. There's two types of food shops in.
I'll just add, whilst we're still there, Carrefour is probably the only place you can get alcohol in Morocco, apart from during Ramadan, and then you can't get it anywhere really. So, if you like a tipple, Carrefour is a place to go, or bring it over from Europe before you arrive.
That sort of leads into what would you bring with you? What did we bring a good supply of? Mick had his Yorkshire tea bags. We had quite a lot of wine. I had Marmite. We would definitely bring more good cheese next time. What else would you bring?
You can't buy things like mushrooms. Some
You
certain
can get them
goods,
in Carrefour, but they're imported.
Electrical goods, anything which needs to be imported, really. It's hard to get or find supply of. So I broke a camera out there. There's no way you can find one in Morocco. Obviously, drones you can't buy in Morocco.
You can get most things, but you're going to do without. You're in a different part of the world, in a different country, and you're not going to have all the comforts that you're used to at home. That's part of the reason why you're there, though. Favourite places?
The one which always comes up in my mind is Tafraoute. It's like a mega park up. There's lots of campervans there, and there's things to do, walks and biking around
It's
there.
inland. It's a nice little town. There's a little bit of a tourist vibe, but not a lot. There's a lot of local stuff going on.
And then I'd probably go for Sidi Ifni.
Sidi Ifni, I was going to say that. That's on the coast. There's nice campsites there. Again, a little bit of a tourist vibe, lots of local stuff, some interesting souks and interesting things nearby, and the bodyboarding there's great fun.
Sidi Kaouki.
Yeah.
Sidi Kaouki's nice.
Yeah.
And also some of the national parks we went to were really good.
Definitely. Yeah, it depends what you want. If you want beach stuff, you can spend your whole time on the Atlantic. If you want lots of culture and history, stay inland. There's lots of Agadirs, lots of castles, lots of history. Really, really interesting places to visit. If you want wildlife, it's a bit limited, it's the desert. But then again, one of our favourite places was Mazuga, where we camped on the sand dune, or in the sand dunes. And it was amazing, just such a chilled vibe.
Mazuga, right, was one of my top destinations.
Definitely.
You parked really in the dunes, and did a proper Sahara experience.
Yeah, it was lovely. Just it was just a really nice vibe, and the campsite, although we'd heard all sorts of things about Mazuga, you're going to get hassled, come on my camel ride, do my 4-wheel drive trip. We didn't get any hassle at all. It was amazing. I think because we're in the campsite, that's one thing about campsites, they do generally protect you a little bit from the hassle. And we just chilled out, and we just went for little walks in the sand dunes. It was fab.
Agadirs as well. Agadirs, you can often turn up at an Agadir, and if you're lucky, you'll find an English speaking guide, not an English guide, but an English speaking guide, and he'll take you around. And quite often they don't have a set price. You pay them what you think it's worth. We paid, I don't know, for a 3-hour tour, we'd be paying 100 dirham.
Yeah,
something like
£8.
that. So £8.
Yeah, Agadirs are the old, historic fortresses with security. But generally, if you find a guide, there's official guides and there's unofficial guides. We had an unofficial guide round Fez, and he was a really nice young chap. He was really entertaining, and then all of a sudden he just disappeared. And we reckon
he didn't just disappear; he ran off.
Properly evaporated.
He ran.
And the tourist police were out, and he was an unofficial guide. He'd have got in trouble, so we were suddenly abandoned. We just laughed about it. And he found us again. Good luck to him. He was a really good lad. But the official guides, you get what you pay for. But it's fascinating. It is worth getting a guide now and again, definitely.
Ramadan next year, or this year, 2025, is it?
No, it'll be
No, it's
26.
2026. It's starting in
February. Mid-February to mid-March, won't it?
What's different during Ramadan? Carrefour, you can't buy your alcohol.
It really didn't
But apart
affect
from
us that much.
I think the shops are closed in the morning. People don't,
Yeah.
the towns don't waken up till the afternoon, and that's the difference.
We were respectful. We
Yeah.
didn't walk around with drinks and food because we knew the people weren't eating.
But saying that, some restaurants and cafes
Yeah,
were
some places
open.
were
In
open.
the tourist places.
Yeah.
They're not out of town, but yeah.
Yeah, no, Ramadan, it's interesting, the calls to prayer. I really enjoyed seeing the change in culture and the change in beliefs and stuff and the way that people live. Couldn't
think-
imagine it in
yeah.
England.
I mean, call to prayer happens anyway, regardless whether it's Ramadan or not.
That
And,
became one of our favourite
yeah.
games was Rate My
Yeah,
Call
Rate
to
My
Prayer.
Call to
We
Prayer.
had some really gorgeous ones. We had some dreadful ones.
Yeah, we were in. Where was that place where it was echoing down this
Oh,
gorge? It was
Al-Qurda?
Al-Qurda.
Al-Qurda was definitely the
Yeah,
favourite
that was
one.
that was
beautiful.
yeah. So rate my
Call to Prayer.
call to prayer.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah,
Good
but
game to play.
huge respect to the Moroccans for doing Ramadan, for the amount of devotion they show to their religion and to their country. Everybody says, "Welcome to Morocco," and they are really proud of it.
Yeah. I think the most common phrase is
Yeah,
"Welcome to Morocco." It's,
Yeah. I think we should mention the downsides a little bit. The two downsides for me are the animal welfare. It's not great. You've got to be a little bit hardened. I always carried a little bit of dog food to give to the stray dogs.
In fact, I think you were more hardened to it than me.
I think I
when
was,
we went to
but-
Gwilman.
Oh yeah.
Oh, the way we were treating the camels.
Yeah, that was tough. And the
and the
other thing
goats.
that I think we both struggled with was the scruffiness and the trash. There's so much litter everywhere, and so many like buildings half built or tumbled down, or the pavements are all cracked and falling apart. And it just wears you after a while, doesn't it?
Yeah.
There is no infrastructure, so you can say, "Oh, I'll go and pick up the litter." What am I going to do with it? There's no recycling.
There is in some places,
A
in
few
some of the towns, and we
places.
have seen litter pickers. To be fair.
Yeah, but then you drive out of the town and you see
Yeah.
a smouldering bonfire, so they're just burning it all anyway. So
And they do landfill as well. I saw a JCB
Yeah.
digging a hole and they were filling,
yeah,
and then-
they are beginning to try,
so-
but generally I would say
It is scruffy.
it is very
It is
scruffy.
It looks like a building site. and I think we don't get the rain as well, so things just don't wash away. Or saying that, one of the biggest plastic areas were always rivers. It's a
Yeah,
hard,
it's a different culture. They're very proud of their country, but they don't think twice about just dropping litter. It's very strange, but that's from our perspective.
And the other thing, which I'm not keen on, is I like to see a price. I don't want to barter. And
It's hard
if you
work.
go anywhere for tourist tat or anything, I even got a haircut, and I got duped there because I went in and he called me in, so I had a haircut, and then I said, "How much is it?" And he says, "However much you want to pay." Well, I didn't want to be tight or anything, so I paid what I would back home. I think he closed up shop and went on holiday for a month. He'd never been paid so much for a haircut in his life.
We learned later it was about 5 times what you'd normally pay
Yeah.
for it, but it was a very good haircut.
Yeah, well, it needs to be.
Yeah, it does get a bit wary. You want to buy something that you've seen, but you just can't be bothered with the haggling. But some
Particularly for touristy stuff, you know.
Yeah, I think they're getting wise to it because you do see stalls with prices occasionally now.
Not everybody likes to haggle, and it's good fun. It is in some occasions
Yeah.
it's good fun, but if you are haggling, haggle with a smile and walk away. Don't be rude. I'd say just don't be rude.
As far as communication, it was frustrating because neither of us speak much French. Some people spoke a bit of English, and English is increasing, but French is definitely their second language. We learnt a few words of Arabic, or it was Arabic, it wasn't verbal, was it? And that was disappointing that we couldn't communicate more with the people, which maybe that's one of the reasons why getting a guide was good, you get more of a local insight.
Yeah.
But yeah, French, if you've got it, will definitely help.
Polish up on your French before you set off. There's another tip to do before you go. Dogs.
Dogs.
I know you've done a video
I've done
entirely
a
on.
video on taking Luna. Dogs, there's a lot of street dogs in Morocco. I'd say 90% of them are quite fine and friendly. Unfortunately, the way to keep a dog away from you is to pick up a rock and throw it at them, or at least pretend to.
I was
Then
going to
they
say,
back
I
off.
never threw one. Just pick
No.
it up and raise it above your head. And
Or
they'll-
just
they'll
pretend
run.
to do that. Luna's quite a reactive dog, so she struggled with some of the street dogs, but other times she made
And
friends
cats.
with them. Yeah, and cats. Yeah, the cats can be just as vicious as the dogs. The Moroccans do feed them a bit. They do have some spay and neuter programs. They do also gather and euthanize occasionally. Certainly with
They-
football
they
coming up, that's
definitely
gonna be
feed
happening.
cats. I think cats are more favoured than dogs in a way.
Yeah, it's
You
a
know,
Muslim. It's a cultural thing.
in a
as
towns,
well.
they do have cat feeding areas and
Yeah,
things like
yes,
that.
they do.
Yeah, particularly around
Yeah.
fish markets.
Yeah.
Oh,
But yeah, it's not easy with a dog, but it's not impossible. Yeah, and you know your dog.
Anyway, check out the full video
Yeah.
on Sarah's video on taking a dog to
taking a
Morocco.
Yeah, because there's a
We'll
lot
put a
of
link
logistics.
in the things below.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just to add to the downside, for me, coffee. Coffee quality isn't great.
Lie down.
Yeah, and eating out as well. I would say it's mediocre, particularly for vegetarians.
Yeah,
I
we
think,
didn't eat
yeah.
out very often. Tagines are nice, but generally they're about slow cooked meat. So if you want overcooked vegetables, they're great.
It's not my favourite.
Yeah, they would do
Or omelettes.
They had vegetarian dishes,
Yeah.
but yeah, when we came back, we were craving pizzas and mushrooms and salad as well. You can't get good green salad out there.
So is Morocco cheap?
In some ways, yes. We used campsites quite a lot. If you didn't, which some people don't, it's a lot cheaper. I'd say we average 15, maybe 20 euros a day,
Each?
not including diesel. So that obviously depends how far you drive and what your vehicle's like.
So I think like fuel costs, it's less than €1 for a litre, or about €1 for a
About
litre.
that, yeah.
Just over. It's less than £1. It's about 95 pence for a litre of diesel. So that's cheap. But then you've got the tolls as you're going down the Atlantic side.
Yeah, there's only tolls on the
Then-
Atlantic
yeah,
coast.
and then you're £5 or £6 on your campsite. But then food's super cheap.
Entertainments, things to go and see, generally free or very cheap.
Anything manual labour is very cheap.
Yes, yes, you wanna
Wages
get-
aren't big in Morocco.
If you want to get anything done on your van or made, people would get like window covers, they'd get reupholstery. We've talked about the paintwork and the mechanics. Quality is
Moroccan quality.
Moroccan,
Yeah.
but if you watch it, you can get good stuff. Yeah, it is. It's cheaper than the UK, and it's certainly a lot nicer than the UK for the winter. We're certainly intending to go back next winter, inshallah, if life lets us. It's not the easiest place, but it's worth it. After 3 or 4 months, we were very ready to get back to Europe, but even now, we've not even been back in Spain a week, and I'm like, I really miss Morocco.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it.
Yeah,
Marks out of 10, probably 8 out.
8 or 9.
Yeah,
yeah,
8.
yeah.
Yeah. If the beaches were cleaner and
Yes,
less,
yeah, I think
and
so.
people passing a little bit less, then it'd be a full 10 for me.
Yes, yeah. Local concerns. There are hospitals and medical facilities. Certainly big towns have good stuff. I had a friend last year who had a root canal done in Assuera, and as far as I know, she's still fine with it this year, so you can get stuff done.
I think in the big towns only.
Yeah, the big towns, yeah. We had travel insurance, backpackers insurance for the longer term travelling. So we were well covered, but we fortunately didn't need anything.
Laundry, that's also a big thing for me. It's laundry quality isn't great. Sometimes you get even a front loading washing machine in a few campsites, but the water's different. And so it doesn't lather up the same, and things are a bit hard. And so I was glad to get back to Europe and use one of the laundromats over here, and Yeah, wash the
Yeah,
clothes.
yeah. I tended to wash clothes in the shower with me quite often. I just chuck them on the floor.
So water in Morocco isn't great. I personally wouldn't drink it. I think that it has a funny taste. I do have a full water system, so it would have been safe, but it doesn't taste great. Sarah's also got a filter system.
I've got a ceramic Berkey water filter, which is different from mixed system.
Yeah, but still didn't taste
yeah,
great.
you could tell along the coast the water was desalinated. It wasn't as nice. Inland, it was fine.
I think if you chilled it, then
Yeah,
it's passable.
yeah,
Even restaurants tend to use bottled water. To,
yeah.
for
Yeah, most
everything.
people buy bottled water. You've got to remember, you're in the desert. There isn't a lot of water available. And you just got to be a little bit mindful of that in how you're living. So another thing that I'd like to waffle on about.
You said it.
So we have met some fantastic people on the road. We've met some fantastic Moroccans, but we've met some amazing other people travelling, Europeans mostly. And I think that is a big part of the trip for us. Last year I was on my own, and okay, yeah, you always feel a little bit lonely sometimes, but you meet some really interesting people, and the stories they have as to why they're doing it is so varied and so mixed. They're not all retirees. There's a lot of families, a lot of single people, and you can also there's good social media. There's Vanlife Morocco on Facebook, there's various WhatsApp groups, so you can communicate with people, to meet up if you want to, ask for advice or ask questions and
I guess you
recommendations.
just don't feel as lonely out there.
Yeah,
there's always somebody there which will help you.
Yeah, you're really not that lonely. If you make an effort, you can meet up with people.
And I think Europeans suddenly come together as well, because everybody's
Yeah.
in the same boat, because it is such a cultural difference.
I think that's one of the nice things about being on the campsites as well, is it does help if you're feeling a bit lonely. Certainly when I was travelling last year on my own, if I was feeling a bit lonely and I was on the campsite, I'd find somebody to chat with. It was much better.
So I've been joined by Luna. Luna, look. Anyway, she's not playing. She's usually parking in the back of the videos all the time, and then when she gets a chance to be the star in roles, she hides.
Ears are down and she doesn't want to play, does she? Anyway, we love Morocco. We'll be planning on going back next year. See you there.
Or this year even,
This
as
year,
it will be. So yeah. Anyway, if you want any advice or any more questions, leave them in the comments below, and we'll promise that we'll get back to you.
Yes, yes. Thank
Okay,
you.
thanks for watching.